truth.
No chaser.
All right. So, very special because I have my dad here with me. And we're going to talk a little bit about his former addiction. But before we get into that, please introduce yourself, your name, sir.
Yes, my name is Frank Glenn Sr. Mm-hmm. And I first want to thank my God for his traveling mercies over the roads. And I want to also thank my son for allowing me to come and visit today. I'm grateful for that. I would like to express my experiences and hopes, mm-hmm. and share with people that are currently struggling with the grips of drugs and alcohol, because my journey was a dark journey, mm-hmm. and I believe that I do have a testimony that would be able to help someone that's out there still struggling.
Absolutely. And that's the main goal that we're trying to accomplish here today. Also to give an outlet and sort of a release, for all of our guests here today. For the people out there, can you tell everybody where you're originally from?
I'm originally from Harlem, New York, 129th and St. Nicholas Avenue, mm-hmm. born and raised. And I currently live in Boston, Massachusetts, mm-hmm. in Back Bay area. And I've been there I migrated from Atlanta, actually, to Boston. And I've currently lived there. I've been there for about 25 years now.
Right. And besides myself, you have two other daughters.
Yes,
right?
my daughter, Hannah Glenn, she lives, she lives here in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And my daughter, Nevaeh, she's in Boston with me now.
Absolutely, mm-hmm. absolutely. Now, this is, again, going to be more so, it's going to be less interviewee, more mm-hmm. so of a conversation.
Okay.
Because we might have had a few conversations in the past, but nothing formal, nothing like this, like mm-hmm. a face-to-face, heart-to-heart conversation. But one thing that we did discuss, you said that everybody knows the woes. You can see, as long as you have eyes, you can see, how it affects and stuff like that. I want to start more so from the beginning with you, because it like we mentioned the last interview with our last guest, Mr. Ken. Everybody's walk is different. Right. It doesn't necessarily have to be a traumatic incident that mm-hmm. leads you down the road of addiction. So, first and foremost, can you tell everybody what it was that you were addicted to?
Well, I was addicted to anything that made me feel good and that tastes good, smelled good. It wasn't any particular drug, but the one that really took me for a loop was the crack cocaine. And I'm sure everybody knows what mm-hmm. Back in the 80s, the crack scene was horrifying to the Black community, I would say. Mm-hmm. And that's about 1985. I started my journey and my experiences with crack cocaine, and it just escalated to the point where it drove me into a world of homelessness, and I never really had a desire to do anything but use. That's all I lived to do, is live to use and use to live. Mm-hmm. I couldn't see any other way out. It was just, that was my livelihood, that was my lifestyle. And I ran into a lot of adversities in doing that. I failed in several relationships, marriages, and it just took a toll on my whole life, pretty much. Separation of family, not really caring about doing anything for myself,
So how did it start? I'm sorry, really quickly. How did how did it all start?
Pretty much curiosity. I just used to hear about the crack cocaine. Crack was supposed to be this wonder drug that made you get outside of yourself.
Out of body experience.
Yeah, I wanted an escape from the realities of life, and so I thought I experimented with it. I would experiment with it. But the sad thing about it is, as they said, you think they're all cliches, but they said once you use, you will never come back because you like it so much. And I didn't believe that, because I thought I was strong enough to be able to combat it, but I didn't. It escalated and continued on, and I just couldn't control it. It controlled me, and so I ultimately it led me to go to programs. I went from program to program. I relapsed on many occasions, and excuse me, I relapsed. And I was what they would call a chronic relapser. Yeah. And I didn't have any control over it. So that was my life. That's where I ended up in some kind of the lowest form of life living, that you can imagine.
Yeah. Although I've never indulged, I just, off of experience from other family members, also being addicts, it seems to be that's one thing that doesn't seem to be a myth about crack cocaine, the out of body experience that people experience when they become users, and how much it takes a toll. Now, in your usage and your abuse, walk us through how it affected you, at the time, your only child, and your marriage. What do you think some of the things that you totally disregarded, just out of curiosity, because again, I can only assume, but those relapses, what I'm saying, can you dive into those a little bit more?
My relapses were just primarily, the fact that I wasn't, ready. It was like I just simply wasn't ready to quit. We try to find excuses for relapsing. My wife's not treating me right. She's always nagging. These little, try to find any little thing that would trigger you to go and use again. And another thing is I hadn't changed my environment. I tried to hang around the same individuals and think that I was strong enough to, I'll tell you one instance where my brother-in-law was being attacked by some people, and I got a phone call and it was in a crack house. And so I had 2 years clean. I went to his aid, called myself going to his aid, and I ended up smoking crack with them. I mean, I thought I was strong enough to be able to handle it, but it just consumed me. And see, one thing people will tell you about crack is a very, very cunning type of drug. It'll creep up on you. It'll hit you at a time when you least expect it. And that's what happened to me in most cases. I thought that I had this thing. Like I said, I was a chronic relapser. So I've been through many, many programs, and I thought that the programs were going to really help me make it through.
So if I can be honest and interject real quick, because speaking from my perspective, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for others, that have had parents go down the same path, is it creates resentment because we don't know the feeling that it gives, the high, the enjoyment that you find behind it. For us, it creates the resentment because we just can't fathom someone choosing a substance over their own family. And if they're, what point in time was it? Because it might not have been with your relationship with my mom, but where did it take a turn when you said, okay, this is enough, it's enough, I have to?
Yeah.
When was that?
Okay. I can almost pinpoint it to the exact day.
That's what's up.
I was living in a crack house, okay, and I used to, it was across the street from a little white church on the corner. And because I come from a spiritual background, religious background, I used to watch on Sundays people going into church and families, you know, they were seemed to be so happy and everybody was upbeat and what have you. So I used to sit in that window and I used to long for those days to come back again because your mother and I were your mother was in the choir and I was, you know, on the usher board and all this kind of stuff. So we were
very
active. We were active in church. And so I used to watch that and I said, you know what? That's where my first love is. That's what I need. I don't need drugs anymore. I need to go and get back to where I'm supposed to put myself back in the position where I'm more familiar with. And I'm safer. Yeah. I'm safer. That's my safety net. The church was my home. And so it ate on me, it ate me up so bad to the point where, you know, one day I walked into a Bible studies. They were having Bible studies on a Tuesday night. And I think that's where I really got I surrendered at that point because I remember a sister named oh God, what is her name? Sister Faye, Faye Childers. She saw me, I got on my knees and at the altar and she came up to me and just put her arms around my shoulder and said, it's going to be all right, you know? And so I think ultimately what it is we can go through. I always use the terminology, you know, I went through to get through, okay? I went through all my trials and tribulations to find my God at the level that I needed to find him. And so when I got on my knees and I prayed to God, I said, God, if you get me out of this situation, I'll never go back. I made a vow to him at that point that I will never return to it. And so I guess, you know, God looks at the heart, like they said, you know, he looks at your heart and he saw the sincerity in it because I said many times before, I'm going to quit, you know, but I wasn't sincere about it. Yeah. And God saw that I was truly remorseful at that time. Yeah. And so next 2 months, I'll be 21 years clean. 21 years. 21 years clean. Amen. That was 21 years ago that I turned it over. I gave it up. Yeah. And to this day, I have no desire whatsoever to use at any capacity. Amen. And God is he's so clever in what he does. I was sent to a program by the Salvation Army. And they had a program called Emoja program, and I graduated the program and I stuck and stayed and went to the meetings and did everything that was suggested of me to do. And the strange thing about it, I started working for the people as a counselor, drug treatment counselor. That's how you get because I needed to be around people like myself. Yeah. That because I knew that if God did it for me, he'll do it for them, and he can do it through me. Yeah. He can work through me to help other people. So I've since retired from that job, but it's like it's a calling. It's calling me back. I want to get out of retirement so I can go back because I feel that we're losing the battle. Because in Boston we have a place called Methadone Mile, And
yeah, I think
I'm sure everybody's probably heard
I went by
about
there
it.
with you before.
It's heart-wrenching to see
Yeah.
human beings walk in the streets
Like zombie-esque.
what is it? The Walking Dead, you know, and it brings tears to your eyes. I'll sit at a light and I'll just look and see people actually standing there shooting drugs, shooting heroin in their arms. Police riding by and not saying anything.
Well, this is now. I want to say, in my words, if I was to get anything from your message, for one, there's nothing that you really from a substance like this. There's nothing that you can do by yourself. You can't do it alone.
You can't.
The higher power has to. You have to have a faith. You have to be faith-based somewhere. You know, whoever you pray to.
Yes.
Because I, for one, you know, never told you I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So that's why I asked you to do this. Because I knew you were the perfect person to be able to, release that message for someone to be able to receive it. And I hope that whoever watches this will get the stronghold message that you just spewed out today. I want you to. So again, I took that message from you. That's what I got from you. But if you can have if you had any lasting, if there was one person out here that you wanted to save, that you wanted to look into that camera to and let them know that everything is going to be all right, what would that last message be to that person?
Well, you've already touched on it. Like I mentioned earlier, that I went from program to program, city to city, thinking that I thought it was a geometric change that might help me to give up drugs and alcohol. But until I realized that that higher power you're talking about, which I choose to call Jesus Christ, he came into my life. The Holy Spirit dwelled within me and allowed me the strength and the courage to just give it up and realize that he will never leave me or he will never forsake me. He was in my corner and he loves me for who I'm coming out. I am today.
Yeah.
We're going to go through struggles in life. But we have to, sometimes we go through these adversities and trials and tribulations because God is trying to allow us to come to him, and if you would just give your life over to Christ. Give him, I don't know, whatever your God is. I'm not going to say just Christ because see, some people are Muslims, they're Buddhists or whatever your higher power is. If you would just meet that power that elevates you or escalates you into higher heights. It can happen because if you would have seen me 21 years ago, you would never believe that I'm the same person. Right. I had totally gave up on life and I had to totally surrender. So that's what I did. Be honest in what you want to do. If you're serious about wanting to get out of the grips of drugs and alcohol, it can be done. And for me, it might not be for you, but for me, I had to choose my God, and he never fails me. He never fails me.
That's the word that I appreciate.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and just thank you for your like you said, thank God for your traveling mercy coming down here and doing this with us. And I can't be more humble. All right.
Thank you for having me.